You know, I'm almost certain that at some point in your life, someone has told you, you need to grow up. And I know they've said it because I know who's listening right now. People in their late teens, their early 20s, maybe pushing 30, right at that age when the world suddenly decides you're not allowed to be who you are anymore. When everyone around you starts using those two words like a weapon, grow up, as if it were that simple, as if becoming an adult meant erasing everything that made you feel alive. This isn't a sermon about maturity. Growing up matters. I won't pretend it doesn't. But there's another side to this coin that nobody talks about. The way we use maturity as a word, as a concept, as a demand. It's become less about wisdom and more about shame, less about evolution and more about erasure. And I think it's time we talk about that. Let me tell you what I think maturity really means. Because if we're going to use this word, if we're going to let it shape our lives and our choices, we should at least understand it. And the easiest way to understand it is to think about the only other things in this world that mature. Fruit. I know that sounds absurd, but stay with me. When a fruit is mature, it means it's ready. Ready to nourish, ready to serve its purpose. And when it's not mature, we call it green, unripe, not yet. There's an expression where I'm from. When someone doesn't have enough experience, when they're still learning, still stumbling through something new, we say they're green. And for years, I never connected it, never realized it was about fruit, about ripeness, about time, about being ready or not being ready. It's such a small thing, but it stayed with me. Because that's what maturity is, isn't it? Being ready, being prepared in some fundamental way for what life asks of you. But here's the question nobody wants to answer. Ready for what, exactly? What does it mean to be ready for life? I think it means having the capacity to make your own decisions. Real decisions. Not the ones people tell you to make. Not the safe ones or the expected ones, but the ones that come from somewhere deep inside you. From a place of clarity, not confusion. A place of intention, not fear. It means being able to tell the difference between what's good for you and what isn't, what serves you and what drains you. And not just that, but having enough emotional intelligence to not let your feelings drag you into places you don't want to go. Because an immature person, and I say this with no judgment, just observation, an immature person doesn't just struggle with decisions, they struggle with themselves. They let anger make choices for them. They let sadness write their story. They throw tantrums when life doesn't bend to their will, even though they're supposed to be adults now. And I want to be clear about something. This isn't about telling you to get serious. This isn't about demanding you put on a suit and stop smiling and start hating Mondays like everyone else. Because that's exactly what people mean when they tell you to grow up, isn't it? They mean stop having fun. Stop caring about things that don't make money. Stop being excited about things that don't look impressive on a resume. And that's not maturity. That's just sadness disguised as responsibility. I've heard it so many times. Maybe you have too. Someone tells you you're immature just because you love something, because you collect things, because you get excited about stories, about art, about worlds that aren't this one. If you love comic books, you're immature. If you watch animated shows, you're immature. If you collect figures or posters or anything that reminds you of wonder, you're told you need to grow up, put away childish things, act your age. And here's what bothers me most. Young people are saying this to each other now. There's this whole corner of the internet, this whole movement of kids barely out of their teens telling each other to stop enjoying things, to stop watching shows, to stop playing, to start grinding, to become alphas, whatever that means. To treat life like it's only worth living if you're constantly performing productivity, constantly proving you're serious enough, hard enough, grown enough. But loving something doesn't make you immature. Collecting things that bring you joy doesn't make you immature. Getting excited about stories, about art, about things that make you feel something real, that doesn't make you a child. You know what does make you immature?
judging people for what they love, telling someone they're less than because they find happiness in places you don't understand. That's immature. That's what happens when you haven't done the real work of growing up, which is learning to let people be who they are.
Podcast. Real maturity is about responsibility. It's about being able to take care of yourself, to solve your own problems, to handle your emotions instead of letting them handle you. It's about taking control of your life, as much as anyone can control anything in this world. It's about not blaming others for your mistakes, about admitting when you're wrong, about trying to be better tomorrow than you were today. That's what growing up means to me. Not putting away everything that makes you feel alive, not becoming stone, not trading your wonder for a paycheck and calling it wisdom. I think one of the most important things I've learned is this. You have to have fun like a child and solve problems like an adult. That's the balance. That's the secret nobody tells you. When life gets hard, when things fall apart, when you're facing something real and heavy, that's when you need to be an adult. That's when you need your maturity, your wisdom, your ability to stay calm and think clearly, and do what needs to be done. But when life gives you a moment to breathe, when you're with people you love, when you're doing something just for the joy of it, when you have a chance to feel something light and good, be a child. Let yourself be excited. Let yourself be amazed. Let yourself feel things fully, without irony, without cynicism, without apologizing. Because the people who tell you you're immature for loving things, they're showing you their own wounds. I don't say this to judge them. I say it because it's true. They probably love things too. Things they're ashamed of. Things they hide. Or maybe they were taught, like so many of us were taught, that certain things are for children and certain things are for adults, and never shall the two meet. Maybe they never got permission to keep the parts of themselves that still knew how to play. And I get it. The world doesn't make it easy. Life beats the softness out of you if you let it. Every disappointment, every betrayal, every moment when things don't work out the way you hoped, it makes you harder, more guarded, more cynical, until one day you wake up and you can't remember the last time something really excited you. The last time you felt that pure, uncomplicated joy you used to feel when you were small. Think about who you were as a child. Really think about it. You used to get excited about everything. A toy, a story, ice cream on a random Tuesday, the way snow looked in the morning, the way your favorite song made you want to dance. You saw magic everywhere because you hadn't learned yet that you weren't supposed to. You hadn't been taught that wonder was embarrassing, that enthusiasm was childish, that caring too much about anything made you weak. Adult life has a way of beating that out of you. It makes you forget. It tells you there's no time for joy when there are bills to pay and responsibilities to manage and a future to worry about. And slowly, without even noticing, you stop letting yourself feel things. You stop getting excited. You start saying things like, nothing surprises me anymore, and that's just how life is, and I'm too old for this.
And that's sad. That's genuinely sad. Because that child is still inside you. That little person who knew how to be amazed, who knew how to find happiness in small things, who knew how to play, they're still there. But we hide them. We push them down. We lock them away because we're afraid of what people will think if we let them out. We're afraid of being called immature, of being judged, of not being taken seriously. But what if being taken seriously isn't worth losing yourself? What if the price of looking like an adult is forgetting how to feel like a human being? I'm not saying don't grow. I'm not saying stay exactly who you were at 7 years old forever. Growth matters. Learning matters. Becoming capable and responsible and wise, that all matters. But you can grow without shrinking. You can become stronger without becoming harder. You can learn to handle adult problems without losing your ability to experience childlike joy. That's the real art of growing up. Not killing the child inside you, but learning when to let them play and when to protect them. When to be serious and when to be silly. When to think and when to just feel. There's this thing that happens as we get older.
We start to believe we've seen it all. We think we understand how the world works. And maybe we do, a little. But with that understanding comes this exhaustion, this heaviness. We stop looking at the sky the way we used to. We stop noticing small beauties. We stop letting ourselves be moved by things. Because being moved means being vulnerable. And we've learned that vulnerability is dangerous. So we close off. We armor up. We tell ourselves we're being realistic, being mature, being smart. But really, we're just becoming numb. We're trading our capacity for wonder for a false sense of control. And the saddest part is, we convince ourselves that this is what it means to be an adult. That feeling less is somehow more evolved. But the children around us, they still know. They still get excited about butterflies and puddles and stories and songs. They still scream with joy for no reason. They still believe in possibility. And we look at them with this mix of nostalgia and pity, thinking they'll learn soon enough. They'll understand one day that life isn't that simple, that you can't just be happy about small things. Except you can. You absolutely can. That's not naivety. That's not immaturity. That's the part of being human we're not supposed to lose. But we do. We trade it for this idea of what an adult should be. Tired, serious, above such things. I wonder sometimes what would happen if we stopped measuring maturity by how little joy we allow ourselves. What if we measured it by how well we can hold both the weight of responsibility and the lightness of wonder at the same time? What if real maturity meant knowing when to be serious and when to let yourself play without shame? What if growing up didn't mean growing cold? Because here's what I've noticed. The people who judge others for their interests, who mock people for being childish, they're usually the most miserable. They've convinced themselves that suffering is sophisticated, that joylessness is wisdom. They've made such a prison out of being adult that they can't stand to see anyone else still free. And I'm not saying this to attack anyone. I'm saying it because I understand it. I've been there. I've felt that pull to hide the things I love, to pretend I'm above caring about anything too much, to perform this version of maturity that's really just performance, protection, a way of fitting in with a world that seems to only respect you if you're exhausted. But what kind of life is that? What kind of existence is it when you can't even admit to yourself what makes you happy? When you edit yourself down to only the parts that look impressive to strangers? When you spend so much energy hiding your joy that you forget what it feels like to actually have any? You don't owe anyone that version of yourself. You don't owe the world your numbness, your exhaustion, your carefully constructed performance of having it all together. Maybe the most radical thing you can do as an adult is admit that you still get excited about things, that you still care, that you haven't let this world make you so cynical that nothing moves you anymore. Maybe real strength isn't about how much you can withstand without feeling. Maybe it's about how much you can feel and still keep going. I think about all the people who've been told to grow up, to put away their collections, their hobbies, their passions, all the people who've been shamed for loving things that don't fit someone else's idea of what an adult should care about. And I wonder how many of them listened, how many of them put away their joy like old toys in a box somewhere, thinking that's what maturity required. How many people are walking around right now living half lives, feeling half feelings, convinced that this is just what it means to be responsible, to be taken seriously, to be grown.
Podcast, and here's the thing about putting away your joy. You can't actually do it cleanly. You can't just cut out the parts of yourself that still know how to play without damaging the whole.
Because joy isn't separate from who you are. It's not this optional add-on you can remove to make room for more important things. It's woven into you. It's part of your fabric. When you cut it out, you don't become more mature. You just become less whole. So maybe the question isn't when will you grow up? Maybe the question is how can you grow without disappearing? How can you become capable and responsible and wise without losing the parts of you that still know how to laugh, how to play, how to get excited about something for no reason except that it makes you feel alive? Because life is going to be hard enough. It's going to test you and break you and put you back together in ways you can't imagine yet. You're going to face things that require every bit of strength and maturity you can muster. And in those moments, you'll need to be an adult, fully, completely, seriously. But life is also going to give you moments of lightness, moments where nothing is at stake except whether you'll let yourself enjoy something, whether you'll let yourself be silly, whether you'll let yourself care about something that doesn't matter to anyone but you. And in those moments, I hope you remember that you're allowed, that it's not immature to get excited. It's not childish to love things deeply and unironically. It's not weak to admit that something makes you happy. That's the balance. That's what nobody tells you. You don't have to choose between being responsible and being joyful, between being capable and being playful, between handling your business and keeping your wonder. You can be both. You should be both. Solve your problems like an adult, feel your life like a child. And if someone tells you that's immature, if someone judges you for what you love, remember, their opinion of you is really just a reflection of how they see themselves, of what they've lost, or what they're afraid to admit they want. It's not about you at all. You don't need their approval. You don't need anyone's permission to be who you are, to love what you love, to find joy where you find it. I know this world makes it hard. I know there's pressure everywhere to be a certain way, to fit a certain mold, to prove you're serious enough, adult enough, successful enough. I know it feels sometimes like you have to choose between being yourself and being respected, between being happy and being taken seriously. But you don't. You really don't. The people worth having in your life, they won't ask you to shrink. They won't mock you for your passions. They won't make you feel small for the things that make you feel big. And the people who do, they're showing you who they are. Believe them and let them go. Because life is too short to spend it performing maturity for people who've forgotten how to feel anything real. It's too precious to waste trying to convince anyone that you're grown up enough, serious enough, worthy enough of respect. You are worthy right now, as you are, with all your interests and passions and the things that make you excited, even though you're supposed to be too old for that now. Maybe growing up isn't about becoming someone new. Maybe it's about becoming more fully yourself, about learning to take responsibility for your life while refusing to let that responsibility crush the parts of you that still know how to hope, how to dream, how to play. Maybe maturity isn't about hardening, it's about holding both the complexity of adult life and the simplicity of childlike wonder, holding both the weight of your responsibilities and the lightness of your joy, holding both who you've become and who you've always been. And if that sounds impossible, if it sounds like too much to balance, remember, you're already doing it. Every time you handle something difficult and then let yourself laugh about something silly. Every time you take care of business and then let yourself get excited about something that doesn't matter. Every time you're an adult when you need to be and a kid when you're allowed to be, you're already doing it. You just need permission to stop feeling guilty about it. So here's what I want to leave you with. Here's what I hope you remember when someone tells you to grow up. When you feel that pressure to put away the things you love, when you start to believe that maturity means becoming less, it doesn't. Growing up means becoming more capable, not less joyful, more responsible, not less yourself, more equipped to handle life, not more resigned to just surviving it. You can be a functioning adult who pays bills on time and handles problems with grace and still get unreasonably excited about things that make you happy. You can be mature and still playful, responsible and still wonder-filled, grown and still growing. And anyone who tells you otherwise, anyone who says you need to choose between being an adult and being alive, they're not showing you the path to maturity. They're showing you the path to giving up. Don't follow them there. Stay soft where it matters. Stay open. Stay curious. Let yourself be moved by things. Let yourself care. Let yourself get excited like you did when you were small and the whole world felt full of possibility. Because it still is. It still is full of possibility. You've just been taught to stop looking for it, to stop believing in it, to call that kind of hope immature. But hope isn't immature. Wonder isn't childish. Joy isn't something you're supposed to outgrow. These are the things that make us human, the things that make life worth living. And you're allowed to keep them. You're allowed to protect them. You're allowed to refuse to let this world take them from you in exchange for some hollow version of adulthood that looks impressive but feels empty. So go ahead, collect your things, love your stories, get excited about what excites you. Be unapologetically yourself with all your quirks and passions and the things that make you different. That's not immaturity. That's courage. That's freedom. That's knowing who you are and refusing to apologize for it. And if you can do that while also handling your responsibilities, while also solving your problems, while also taking care of yourself and the people you love, then congratulations. You're not immature. You're more grown up than most people will ever be.
Because real maturity isn't about what you give up. It's about what you refuse to lose. It's about growing into yourself instead of away from yourself. It's about becoming who you're meant to be, not who you think you're supposed to be. And who you're meant to be includes that child, that little person who still lives inside you, who still remembers how to wonder, who still knows how to find magic in ordinary moments. Don't lock them away. Don't silence them. Don't tell them they're too much or not enough or need to change to fit someone else's idea of what growing up should look like. Let them out. Let them play. Let them remind you what it feels like to be fully alive. Because at the end of all this, when you're looking back on your life, you're not going to be proud of how well you performed maturity. You're not going to wish you'd been more serious, more careful, more concerned with what people thought. You're going to wish you'd been braver, more honest, more yourself. You're going to wish you'd let yourself be happy, let yourself care, let yourself love what you loved without shame. So do that now, while you still can, while there's still time to remember who you are underneath all the expectations and pressures and ideas about who you should be. Be that person, the real one, the one who knows how to handle hard things and still find reasons to smile, the one who can be serious when it matters and silly when it doesn't, the one who never forgot how to play. That's who you are. That's who you've always been. Don't let anyone, including yourself, tell you that's something you need to outgrow. Because growing up doesn't mean growing cold. It never did. It never should. It just means learning to hold more, to be more, to become yourself fully and finally without apology. And that includes the child in you, always, always.